everybody. My name is Nathaniel Manning. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Kettle, and our mission is really about balancing risk in the changing climate. And what we do is we use deep learning to reshape the reinsurance industry. I like to call it using 21st century technology to underwrite and understand 21st century risks. I come from a background, I was the CEO at Ushahidi, one of the largest open source software platforms for crisis response. And so I worked building software for first responders. I also worked in the White House and in 2012, 2013 as the first chief data officer at USAID, opening up data for humanitarian response. And what I saw working in this first response was how much and how important the insurance industry was, and really the reinsurance industry was, to battling and building a better safety net, really a safety net below the safety net for everyone who's getting affected by these increasing climate disasters. The other co-founders I'm with have over 50 combined years of experience from the reinsurance sector, and our team has now actually grown to over 22 people. So you might say, what is reinsurance? It's known as insurance for insurance companies. It's a $400 billion industry that's 630 years old. And essentially what it is the insurance layer for catastrophic risk, essentially the things that are being exacerbated by climate change. There's been a 3x increase in billion-dollar catastrophes over the last 15 years, and that has caused a 68% drop in return on equity for the reinsurance industry. There's a really good reason why. Essentially, the models are no longer working, because what is reinsurance? Reinsurance is basically just or any insurance, it's an actuarial model. It is the OG data scientists. And we're still using stochastic modeling, which is a 100-year-old statistical tool. And you know what? We can land spaceships back on Earth and drive cars using machine learning. So why is this old industry that invented data science still so behind the times? Well, part of that is the classic innovator's dilemma. The big reinsurers are stuck in the past. It is hard for them to adopt new technology. One of my favorite quotes was in asking a previous reinsurer that we worked with if they wanted to run the model go from 100,000 to 1 million simulations, what would that take? And they said it would take about 6 to 12 months to get their servers up and running. We use this little thing called AWS now instead. Also, with the reality of COVID and these increasing climate disasters, we've seen a 200% increase in some of these perils, specifically wildfire, which is the first product we're bringing to market. And in addition, the traditional technology sector who go after this area, they adopt a software as a service model, which might seem smart, right? But what I always like to say is if you really believed that you had built a model that could trend gold prices, why would you sell that for $10,000 a month to hedge funds? Instead, put your money where your models are. So we've actually built a full stack reinsurer, and we sell reinsurance, not specifically a software contract. And again, that's instead of the $4 billion industry selling models, it's the $400 billion industry sitting right behind it. So what we do is we gather geospatial data, weather data, real estate data. We put all that through ETL pipelines and make it and put it into the sense and structure that we want. We downscale it, and then we run what's called our swarm neural networks, which are convoluted neural networks written in parallel, each trained on a specific key variable around the risk. And they work in ensemble methodology to best predict and understand the risk. We've gotten to an 89.7% F1 score, precision recall, versus maybe 62% at the best. And to give you just what that really means, the norm, the best in class right now for predicting risk is to run maybe 100K simulations based on historical wildfire data. So, hey, if this spot in California or this spot in Australia has burned down twice in the last 500 years, we're going to call it a 1 in 250 chance of burning down. We run 500 billion simulations every turn of our model, which just gives us that brute force understanding and ultimately yields to a much better return on equity for our capital providers. Just a concept, the product is live. We are currently quoting business in California as our first market that we're working with, but we are also licensed through Bermuda, which means that we can quote and work anywhere in the world, which is wonderful. We also, or that partnership is through Amwins, the largest wholesale seller of insurance in the world. So lastly, just the unit economics, and then I'll end here. You might ask, how do you, as a startup, reinsure? Great, we raised a nice little chunk of money. Now we can reinsure 3 houses in Palo Alto. Well, what you're doing is actually brokering other capital that's out there that's looking to best understand the risk. We put the deals together and build the software and APIs and everything to run the whole system and put our models to work, take the fee there. Much like someone putting money into a hedge fund or into a venture fund, et cetera. In fact, our LPs are literally the same big pots of monies, pension funds, et cetera, endowments. And then we end up taking about a 12% net revenue when we don't hold any of the risk ourselves. And then we build our own balance sheet to invest pari passu alongside of our investors, giving us a little exposure to the risk, but also a higher profit margin when we are right. So that's our story, and happy to answer any questions you have.